All right, so welcome back to New Day. It's now time to look at the papers in detail and the stories that, jump at you. And I'll start with the Daily Graphic newspaper, and its biggest headline says, Woyome walks free man. ISD workers happy with removal of boss. An SHS student jailed 10 years. The Ghanaian Times newspaper talks about Woyome as well and says Woyome escapes jail and will crush vigilante groups, quoting IGP John Kudalo. And Klosag applauds government for sacking ISD director. That story is on your screens now. And let's see. Its back page talks about, kidney cases high among children. Rainstorm damages 32 houses in Gotime, Jope district. And also, the Daily Guide newspaper says, Woyome freed again. Woyome freed again. AG crashes. 4 female robbers caged. ISD boss sacked. Those are fired. Those are the stories captured by the Daily Guide newspaper. The Today newspaper says, NDC sponsored Green Street. NDC sponsored Green Street, and Winchi NDC boils. NPP calls for probe into the brochure scandal. The General Telegraph says Afred Woyome freed in 51 million cedis judgment debt case, and MPs Ayariga MPs hot over indebtedness. That's the General Telegraph. NPP weight into industry brochure faux pas and calls for immediate probe into national debacle. And Samia spills beans, says NDC sponsored Ivor Green Street. The Business and Financial Times says MTN makes 6.3 million cedis a day. WAMPA reiterates cap on MFIs, microfinance institutions, and 3,000 science math teachers get jobs. Weekend Finder says multi-million AFDB project abandoned. It has to do with cattle. The Fulani finding lasting solution to Fulani herdsman saga. Women urged to play key role in arms control. And my final paper for the morning, 2 papers actually, the Herald newspaper and the Independent. Herald says appeals court shames NPP, Akufo-Addo, Bako and others, but leaves Ghanaians confused on Supreme Court's directive to Woyome. And finally, a Chimoto school and the Seed Land Guard strike killed chief driver, vandalized staff vehicles. Headmistress sends SOS to Parliament. All right, so all right, on that note, I could take a deep breath here and exhale nicely, and then we're back in the studio. Let me introduce my guest to you for the morning. I have the Deputy Communications Director for the New Patriotic Party, lawyer Mike Okwe. Good morning to you, lawyer. Welcome to the studio.
Very good morning to you.
Good to see you, right? And also President of your Core Institute of Technology here, Professor Jidonu. Good morning to you, sir, and welcome. We're also expecting the NDC Member of Parliament for NewDay, Honorable George Lott, to also join us in the studio. But we can start, without him. Let's just move on now and talk about Mr. Woyome. You're a lawyer, so I want to start off with you. Yeah, I want to. That Woyome walks free man. AG went to court, to try and see if they could, they defraud him by false pretenses would stick. It didn't. Free man, meaning, he's done. We can't go back to it again.
Yes, let me start by saying a very good morning to your viewers,
sure.
To my senior professor on the panel, and to your good self. And to start by saying that this Woyome saga is not as simple as it looks. And one thing about criminal evidence or being able to prove something in terms of the criminal level is totally different from that of civil. You see, when it comes to proving that somebody has done something wrong with regard to civil law, it is on the balance of probabilities. So to make it simpler for the viewer, let's say even if you're able to get about 55% to 45%, you can balance it and say that, look, this person is culpable, and so there'll be a certain restitution and so on and so forth. When it comes to the burden of evidence in terms of the area of criminal law, it is beyond reasonable doubt. So let me also look at a percentage of about 75 to 80%. It must be an A-class evidence. Now let us look at the Woyome saga. The Woyome saga started with a man called Afred Woyome going into, first of all, going to make a claim.
Oh, to the NPP that
he didn't start on that level. He started straight with the NDC, and that's one of the things that went against him.
No, but Michael, I just want to get a bit of clarification. I thought he started with the whole CAN 2008 thing, and I think at the time, Joe Gatti thought you had nothing, so they closed it until he came back to the NDC.
That was Waterville. You see, a lot of people. No. Woyome has never attempted to claim in that jurisdiction. It was Waterville, and that is why everybody was surprised that Woyome himself could go and make a claim afterwards. And it's a thing that a lot of people don't know. Waterville, let me give you this example. The three of us sitting here, Professor and me, have a contract. And you and Professor have a relationship, i.e. you brought Professor to me.
Sure.
In law, you have no right to come to me for any contractual relationship. You understand?
Sure.
Yes. So initially, it was Waterville who attempted to make this thing an issue. And Waterville, they were dealing with a company called Austro Invest. And Austro Invest, they are the ones who had the relationship with Mr. Woyome. Now, it subsequently turned out that the contract between Mr. Woyome and Austro Invest was terminated because Austro Invest's interest had been terminated because Waterville had taken over. Before now, Waterville moved on to Micheletti and Consa.
But it's the same thing you're saying.
So I'm saying that as for Woyome himself, yes, as a person, and that is one thing that has gone throughout this whole thing, that Woyome himself cannot come and have a contractual relationship with the government.
I wanted to get that out.
Yeah. So that is the issue. So Woyome's contract had been terminated with Austro Invest as a consultant, and he had been compensated by Austro Invest. So Mr. Woyome now has no locus in any future saga. Now, if you remember very well, when the Woyome case started, there was a certain lawyer called Kwame Tete who was acting for Waterville. A lot of people have forgotten this thing. And when he analyzed it, my brother George knows Kwame Tete very well, a very principled man, one of the most senior lawyers in this country. He said, look, Woyome has no case, and so I cannot be part of this. And that is why Kwame Tete basically withdrew his services from that. And so it came as a shock to everybody that the case had been resurrected again, and this time Waterville actually saying that Woyome had a case. Okay. And this is how the whole confusion started. Sure. So now when this whole saga started, this is a criminal case, as I said. We have to look at the burden of evidence beyond reasonable doubt. The only way you can do that, even in America, there are a lot of people, for example, have murdered somebody, but because the prosecution feels that either at the grand jury stage or at whatever stage in terms of the police themselves doing their investigation, they've not been able to find the body, they've not been able to find the weapon, they decide not to charge the person, not because the person is not guilty or culpable, but because the evidence will not stick in the criminal court. Yeah. And that is why the evidence against Mr. Woyome stuck in civil, where it is balance probabilities, but difficult to stick in the criminal court. Okay. Now, one of the reasons why it was very difficult to stick in a criminal court was because, and this is where Ajet Nassam was coming from. In fact, when the Supreme Court upheld it, I knew the difficulty. It's a technical problem. Okay. If you don't go and bring, for example, Betty Modi Drisu there to come and give the evidence as to how did he acquire the money, because we need to find who is to blame. Is it because of Woyome's fraud or Betty Mold's negligence? Because
the state's
the state's negligence could be that it could even be by action or omission, or was the state itself involved in condoning some fraud, you see, then we know where the chips will lie. But if we are in a situation where we are in a conundrum, a sort of quagmire, we can't really tell where exactly the chips are falling.
That's where you feel we are now?
Yes, because the judges are saying, look, unless the prosecution are able to bring these people to us, Martin Udru, bring him here and let them tell us the full story. Why? You remember that
you have a minute to wrap up.
Okay, you remember quickly that when Mr. Woyome went to court, initially he won because the state was not able to represent. There's no problem there. Sure. It happens in court. Default judgment, summary, whatever came. Sure. Okay. Now, in this case, what happens next, which is surprising, is that when the matter goes back to court, we all know the Martin Hamidou saga and so on and so forth. So the NDC was forced to pursue the case later. But at that juncture, we all heard what the president said at Tamils, that no money should be paid. The court also agreed. In fact, I think it was Amadou Tanko. The judge said the 17 million that has been paid, because the money was three tranches.
They could reverse this if he loses the case.
And that taking should be signed, that he should keep that but the rest of the 34 should be kept pending, and this is the word, pending the final determination of the matter. So then if, for example, Betty Mould or Martin Udru had been brought in there, they will ask them, how come you paid the money despite the fact that the judge said pending the final determination of the matter? Then you can now start seeing criminality. But until those matters are determined in the court, it is very difficult to put criminality on Woyome's head, because it looks as if, yes, as for him, he made an application and the state paid him, so what has he done? But then we want to know, was there some connivance? How come there was some money in some state attorney's account? Was it so that they won't say certain things or make the transition smooth? These are all questions that can only be answered if the prosecution, the Attorney General's department, will not do the half like a discount job that they've done. So
ultimately, the state's sort of disinterest.
Well, I mean, for me, I think that the state didn't do a full job. Mr. Woyome being freed now doesn't mean he's not culpable for taking the money wrongly, because he had no contract with Ghana, and he himself has said that. All
right, so I'll move on. Welcome, Judge Lois, the Member of Parliament for NewDay. Welcome to the show. And just a quick comment on, I mean, as it stands, yes, Mr. Woyome will have to pay the 51.2 million cedis. The rest of defrauding by false pretenses does not hold, and the court has upheld that decision.
Well, good morning, and good morning to our cherished viewers. Bridget, I've listened to my friend and brother.
And lawyer.
Lawyer. I mean, but the brother part is even more. We grew up together, so we are.
Actually, he said it before you walked.
Yeah, bodies. But I think that, you see, this whole Woyome saga, I think many people, including very seasoned lawyers, do not have a tap on the realities that these matters have to deal with. First and foremost, it is not true entirely. Gabo missed the point when, if you look at the strand of the case, Woyome is saying that I've done work
for who?
In bringing, that's why they call it financial engineering.
No, for who?
I've brought money to government with an understanding.
No, he brought the money
please take your time. Take your time. And that, for my part as a consultant or a financial engineer, the tradition is that you pay me a certain finding fee. And it is the finding fee that he really went to ask for. As for this Astro Invest and its attendant, Waterville and things like that, that had been handled rightly so at the level of Kwame Tete and the late lawyer Uno and others. I mean, you know. So in real terms, we should go back to the crux of the matter. So that is one. Two, I am not surprised that the Court of Appeal upheld the decision of the High Court. Okay. Because, I mean, if you look at the trial, if the High Court judge is saying that I wasn't convinced by the state's prosecution, it is common in our criminal jurisprudence that you prove beyond reasonable doubt. So in their mind, proof has not been beyond reasonable
Well,
doubt.
some would say because the state also did not furnish
You see,
them with
that is the part.
enough info
that is the
and
part,
evidence and the
that-
work.
that
I mean,
is
the
the
cost
part.
wasn't.
That is the part I don't agree with at all when
Okay.
it comes to these things. You know something? When you you bring him a case, his theory that he will develop to prosecute the case will be different from mine. That is why lawyers are different, and that is why one attorney general will say this water is it tastes well. Another will say I don't agree. That is why when judges write judgment, they write what? Opinions. Okay. You understand? That is why it is the opinion, the number of the majority opinion that holds sway. So sometimes the minority opinion later on becomes what? The dominant position in law. So nobody should pretend as though if we were all given the same brief, we'll prosecute our cases the same way. The state prosecution team thought that this was the best way they could do it. But we are also saying that they could have done it in a different way. The court says that, well, the way you did it, you couldn't convince me. Let's leave it at that. That is the tradition of law.
But if he has been asked to pay the money back, I mean, the Supreme Court upheld that he did not have a contract with the state.
You see, even that one has its own difficulties. From day one, I have said that it may just be that Woyome may never pay this amount. Okay, because you see how difficult the AG is finding to even go into execution. Because the fundamentals of the judgment, I disagree with. And look, part of some of the judges who sat on that case, later on, I've gone to them one-on-one, and we've had a chat. And some are beginning to see that maybe, just maybe, they were just too strict on law. Because you see, when you take the letter of the law, just the letter, it may not do you justice. Okay. But that is what the letter of the law says. That is why some other judges, former chief justices, were talking about the spirit of the law. Sure. But you see, I'm not here to do legal education this morning. But all I'm trying to say is that when you are going to buy land, when you are going to buy land, you go, Prof sells you the land. These are my land document. You see it, okay, you pay him money. Then you instruct a contractor to go on the land and do what? And build. Then when the contractor builds up to some point, it turns out that Prof did not own the land. Sure. Then you say that the contractor should refund the money that you paid him. Why? Is the contractor supposed to be inspecting my document or checking the validity of his land document to enter into? So let's look at this from those very practical perspectives. The truth of the matter is that as per the court of the three wise men that sat, they are of the view that prosecution did not convince them beyond reasonable doubt that Mr. Woyome was culpable.
You think we can put it to rest?
Well, why? There's also an opportunity for a Supreme Court.
Okay, all right.
So,
all right.
Really,
Thank you.
What
Prof, I doubt the AG would go back. I mean, I'm sure they will come out with the same outcome. So can we, I mean, this is a case that has generated a lot of, discussion in the public domain, and people have talked about it. And in fact, yesterday, Mr. Woyome himself spoke and said people should read the judgments, and that all those who insulted him, he's forgiven them and he's moving on. But maybe we're looking at the part where we can probably retrieve the money. Do you think we can finally bring this to a close?
I'm not sure. I wish we could bring it to a close, but the way things are in this country, I'm sure it's going to go on for a while. Sometimes I thought it's only academics who always disagree among themselves, talking about the same issue. Look at the lawyers also disagree a lot. So I think we have not seen the end of this yet. 51 million is not a small money, and the issues surrounding it are quite tedious for we ordinary people to understand. The ordinary person out there, for them, is quite straightforward. This guy have been paid money,
they want the
and
money
they want the money back. And there are a lot of other legal issues. He's gone to court. This man says it's correct. This money, but so we are getting a little bit confused down here. But I think the long and short of it is that I don't think this is going to go away for now. Woyome is now a household name. We are building a campus very near.
There's a music to his name.
That's it. We are building a campus very near to Kokomeme, and then when people say, "Oh, it's where Woyome stays," then that's how popular he is now. So I think there are some lessons that can be learned from this, both for the state and also for the people who do business with the state. So I don't really think it's going to go away.
Okay.
It's going to hang around for a while.
Okay, all right. So we're moving to the next topic.
Before we move
I have to move on.
You can give us a minute just to
What-
wrap up,
what
because
do
this
you
is a
want?
very important
A
topic.
minute.
Yeah, I just want
Let
to
me
make
see.
it
You
very
end at
clear
7:20 because it's
that
already
you see,
7:19.
there are certain
7:21,
things
sorry.
which, when you say a finding fee, okay, there must be a contractual arrangement. So if, for example, Prof, I go and do a contract with you, and Prof finds the money for me to do the work, I will pay the finding fee, not you. So we shouldn't make it look as if Mr. Woyome had any relationship with government to bring the money. But let me tell you something. In fact, the reason the contract was terminated was because Mr. Woyome was not able to raise the money.
Okay.
That is why Astro Invest and whatever had to go, and Consa and Micheletti took over.
All right.
Because when they moved to site, all those problems that came, that is what happened. So I don't want you to come and say that he raised any money for government.
You see,
if
I
he raised the
didn't
money,
want to go into this detail.
Yeah, sure.
I have been part of the case.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
So that's why you are.
I have
That's
knowledge
why you are biased.
that my learned friend. I have
no,
knowledge that my learned friend has
No,
not.
but
Okay.
all I want
Look,
to conclude is this.
just one.
Let me conclude.
Oh,
This is
no,
important.
no,
I haven't
Paul
concluded
Asime's
when
letter
he
that he
interrupted.
wrote,
Oh,
advisory
but
letter
George,
he
you
wrote
can't
to the
just
Attorney General.
interrupt me in the middle of my
Did
conversation.
you, if you read that
George,
letter,
George,
it tells you
hold
that he has
on,
found money for us, and
George,
the industry
George,
parties
George,
give him this,
hold on.
Yeah, Mike,
Let
Mike,
me wrap
okay,
up,
Mike.
then you come in. But
Mike,
if you
your
interrupt
time
me like
is
that,
up.
I won't accept that.
So let us talk to the public. I won't accept it. You know it. George, you know me too well. Okay, my conclusion simply is this: that whatever work you did for Astro Invest and subsequently Waterville, and now they moved on to Consa in Micheletti, how do you now come and go to the Ghana government that they should pay you money? And that is why the Supreme Court, no, it's about contractual relationship.
Okay.
You
all
cannot
right. But
say
we
you
have
have
to-
done work for
Yeah, but
a-
we have to move on. That's why I wanted the prof to have the final
but
answer.
you see,
Whether
if
we
you
can
don't
put
correct,
it to
if
rest.
you don't correct
Yes,
this,
go
is
on.
one. You see, when Gabo is talking about all these things, he just
1 minute.
raising red. Look, one, I am saying that there's a trail. That is why Woyome could walk to the Attorney General and say, "You owe me money." There's a trail. Please, Mr. Player, there's a trail. That trail flows from the fact that many other people were involved. The industry builders were called in. The can 208 the guy in charge. What is his name? I've forgotten his name. Some popular sports person.
I don't.
Yeah, he wrote to confirm that some Woyome has done so. So there is a trail that he followed. Two, I'm saying that, you see, when people are talking, when he said about, is it because money went to Obi's Amwan's account? Ajimamenu was fingered in that. He did transaction with Osafo Mafo.
You went to Obi's account for as a what?
Please. I'm saying that. I'm saying that when you say money went to people's accounts, I'm saying that as part of when that investigation came out, Obi also received money. He claimed that Woyome said he should buy land for him.
Yes, exactly.
Okay?
Yes.
The other
remember
people.
that.
But is it truly to buy land? We don't know.
I wouldn't know.
Yes, so I'm saying that let's not go there.
Okay.
Let's face the facts.
So let's move on.
Let's
All
face
right.
the facts.
So what
Let's
it means,
deal with the
okay,
issues.
what it means
Yes.
is that, of course, this particular subject of Woyome quote is not going away. I mean, I decided to give Prof the final.
And why was the
to
money
see if
paid
we could,
when the court said
move on
they should hold on
and
the money? Why did they pay the
do,
money?
some other stories now? And
You want me to
well,
have
we're
that?
going
Yes. He
to
hasn't
do
given me
two
the
things.
opportunity, but I'll give
Same
you the answer.
subject, but in two different areas. Now, the staff of the Information Services Department say they are happy with the removal of their boss, the acting, director. That's one part of it. The other part is that the New Patriotic Party is asking for an investigation into the matter. What would that really do? Are we pushing it too much? What do you think the investigations will do, and what do you hope to see come? You want people fired? Aren't we pushing it too much? I mean, people make mistakes.
Well,
really.
I mean, if as a journalist you think we are pushing it too much,
It's a question I'm
No,
asking.
I know.
Are we
You
pushing
don't have
it?
to. You don't have to be emotional. I'm not saying if as a journalist,
good to be
you, for
emotional,
example,
there's
you think that aren't we pushing it too much? Well, maybe then the standard of Ghana is that when you want an inquiry into something, maybe you are pushing it too much. But it can't be that we are pushing it too much.
Okay.
Why? Let us start with this whole saga and why we, for example, among other people, remember that there are so many civil societies, including journalists like, who are also journalists like yourself. Manasseh, Occupy Ghana, MPP, all various Ghanaians are asking the question. Because we had a complete debacle on the day, a complete embarrassment. All the things that happened, you know, putting Ghana on the equator and Uhuru Kenyatta as our president, all of those things. It sounds like trivia. Factual mistakes. You see, me, I don't like making fuss over typo.
Okay.
Because typo means you want to write Mahama and then the computer, you know, sometimes
Mahaha.
yeah, they read it
out.
exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. They read it Mahaha or Mahimu or something. Well, it's a mistake.
Sure.
But where you have Mahama become Kenyatta plus the Uhuru, it's not a typo.
Again.
When you have the fact that Ghana is on the equator, it's not an it is because everybody knows parallel lines. People study vectors. People studied vectors in
Mike,
school. It's only in NDC.
Mike,
that when
funny.
they are producing
Mike,
brochure.
It's okay, go on.
I'll leave that one.
Leave it and let's go.
So let us move now onto the issue.
Sure.
The danger here is this. The communications outfit of the presidency comes out. Oh, we made a big mistake. We are sorry. We are going to investigate and come out with a report. Then we are waiting, like happened with the bus brand saga, to see what will happen. Even though we are saying that the Attorney General's department is not an adjudicatory body. They themselves, they prosecute. They cannot adjudicate because they are the president's lawyers and advisors. So that should have had, for example, another, you know, like the Brazilian saga, where they brought a judge. We should have a proper ruling on the matter. So that's my opinion on that.
Okay.
Then we start having lies. You see, this is where now the issue becomes serious.
So that's where you're...
Where the Information Services Department is framed that they are the ones who have caused a certain
Who
problem.
framed ISD?
The Mr. Kwatin or Dr. Kwatin. Yes,
he.
they've been framed because they did not produce the brochure. They did not print it. They did not therefore make those last-minute mistakes. So for him to then come and say that that was the case, he was trying to diffuse and change something. Now, what is the reasoning behind this? Because this same man, now we have found out later that he was actually at the presidency before. He moved as acting director of ISD. Now, when he comes there, all of a sudden, he moves a contract that is usually operationalized at the ISD to the presidency. And today, I don't want to go into certain details, but it has come out that the company that printed those brochures are associated to him and others at the presidency.
Okay.
Is this not a travesty? I mean, why is it that everything that this government wants to do is about either a way to find some chobo or a way to find some chop or a way, hey, that's all. Okay. And you know, when you're in a hurry to do chobo,
you believe that the investigations would what exactly you want people taking responsibility for that?
Why should we be lied to?
Okay, no, I just
then secondly, you know that there's an issue of the coat of arms.
Yes.
You know our laws. It's a pity that I will not have the time to go onto Facebook now, and because I put something up there on one of our laws in Ghana that talks about what you cannot do with the coat of arms.
Okay.
So now we are bordering on criminality. So where we have behavior where the man himself has confessed that it wasn't the real ISD letterhead, but it was lifted, reformulated, and then used to tell us that expensive lie. But for the ISD workers being angry, you and I would not have known better. So now it is getting to an issue of criminality. It is getting to an issue of this contract in the first place. Why was it work that was supposed to be done or has been done by ISD? They said
they've not had lights for 8 months. They don't have lights. They couldn't have printed.
Who said?
Yeah, one of the ISD spoke to Onia FM
that's what they are saying. But what I've heard,
but then he was quick to add that they could have gone to the Ghana National Association of Teachers printing press to probably print it if they had been given the contract.
Thank you.
Yes, that's
so it doesn't justify that because there's no light here, there's no light everywhere. At least there's light in the Flagstaff house, so they can go and print it there. Okay. Just even the printing, they can go and print, and then the work will be done by professionals. Most and final, the person who had been appointed there for whatever favor or whatever is not qualified.
He's been sacked.
And no, his qualification doesn't match the criteria in terms of civil service.
Oh,
You must have a certain master's in communication. You must have worked in a civil service for 15 years. It's all stipulated. The man didn't qualify. So not you, not me, not him. The people who worked there themselves said they don't want the man because he doesn't qualify for the job. You see what happens when we go and take unqualified people and put them into certain positions.
All right. Your time is up. All right. Thank you very much. Mr. George.
Well, I think that
yes, sacking him, Mr. Kwarteng, yeah, he's gone. But then more, people want to see more. I seen the whole chain of communication, and the Ministry of Communication assuming responsibility. We're told a letter from Julius Deborah, which we didn't see, but the communication is quoting them and all of that. Just creates a lot of doubts in people's minds. And what is happening?
I find it difficult to see where the doubt would be coming from. First and foremost, let's all admit that it was an error that was unfortunate.
Sure.
All that went into that brochure. I think that possibly with hindsight, you see that we were a lot more diligent. We wouldn't have been where we are. Sure. Don't forget that we've celebrated. This is the 59th anniversary, for God's sake. So it's not something that you will say this is the first. This is the 59th. So I always say that we should learn not to always want to reinvent the wheel and bring. We could have just avoided the mistake if possible. But you see, it could have happened to anyone. I always say also, it could have happened to anyone. Mr. Kwarteng, let's be fair, has come out to accept responsibility. Clear. He has said that, well, it's unfortunate that this is the way he tried doing it and it simply did not work. He's been relieved of his position. Now, let me set some records straight.
Sure.
Indeed, I don't know where my NPP friends are getting this thing being printed from a certain company. And indeed, I have read elsewhere where they said it's Stan Doge's wife's company and things like that, the events PR. It is not true. I can tell you sitting here on authority that those brochures or no work has been done by events PR in this matter. So whoever has any clouds of doubt in their mind, they should clear it.
Okay.
Every investigation can be gone into and you will find that nothing like that has happened. Please, what has happened is that these things went wrong. The person who assumed responsibility, has been relieved of
Well,
his
for
post.
some reason,
But
he's just taking the fall for others.
but you see,
Now
now we've moved to another stage where they are challenging his qualification.
Okay.
That is what the people at ISD are saying, that per their scheme of service, you should have this and that and that. But let's be mindful of something. The position became vacant. Government is looking for somebody to come and head. So he's actually not a substantive. He has been assigned for the presidency to assume responsibility for the place until such a time that a substantive head, because they have to go through all the problems of recruitment and all that. They haven't reached that stage. So I think that we should just allow the system to work. Now he has been relieved of his post. Let's see how it goes.
Okay.
And I think that we are not as much as, and I agree with you from the beginning, as much as it is something that was an expensive error. I agree. I will be the first to agree. I think that we have more pressing things at this time. We will talk about it. You can call for investigation, but let's move on to equally pressing matters. We can't spend all our lives trying to see why somebody has been fired or not. The person has assumed responsibility. He has been fired. The chief of staff, I've seen a letter that has gone forward to say that because of all these things, the Minister of Communications or the Ministry of Communications assuming a new role as also the communications outfit of the Flagstaff House. Period.
Okay. So the investigation?
Well, I mean,
that
if you call, I don't
for?
think that there's anything wrong for anybody calling for investigation. But those who must do the investigation, we also look at the trend and see, do we really need to do an investigation? I have a call for investigation. I think everybody has the right to do.
Prof, I'm going to put the same question I put to lawyer Michael Coy here, that are we pushing it? Yes, it's a very serious error that was committed. But George makes the point that, yes, we've celebrated 59 years. 59, quite unfortunate that we experienced these errors. And, I mean, it's a joke. Even yesterday, some people Photoshop president's picture and they put some mahaha, just to make fun of it. Are we pushing it too much? Should we move on to something else?
Well, I certainly think we need to move on. The call for investigation, is that correct? I'm surprised if that investigation is already going on. I'm sure something happened. That's why somebody was fired. Okay. I think something happened. They couldn't have just let this stay. Okay, that's the first point. And also, it's very important for that to put this within perspective. This President Uhuru Kenyatta,
Sure.
I think this might be his first travel to the western shore of West Africa. You know, for some time he was not traveling because of the ICC issue. I want to know whether did the Kenyans actually, I know this is a comedy of errors.
That's what.
Tragedy of error.
Yes, comedy of
Some
errors.
say, yeah.
Okay, and this is not the first time it happened.
Yeah.
This is not the first time it happened. If you have been near to government people, there are times that a president will arrive, the wrong flag will be there. Okay, they may complain. There are some times that a wrong national anthem is played. There are some times that even a president, not in this country, I remember President Reagan was
Reagan.
calling Prince Charles
Reagan,
King
yes.
David. Okay? I remember the time in another country where a whole cabinet at the airport waiting for the president to dismount the plane. The president didn't come out. What happened? He was drinking. He was boozed.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
No, we don't want to mention names. All these things, I don't want to mention names. I want the people who are there who can go and Google and find out. The president was drunk. He couldn't come on the plane, and then they had to go. A lot of these things happen every day. Okay, there was a case in one African country, AU meeting. Okay, the president was going on the highway. He found out that the flag which was there is not his flag. There was a case. Morocco, who is, I don't know whether they are back to the AU now. So at some time they were not part of the AU. They opt out because of the Sahrawi problem. But during our AU's meeting here, the Morocco flag was flying on our high street. But although it was, so these things happen during these major celebrations. There was a time, you remember, when Gaddafi was here, during the AU meeting, President Kufuor referred to President Gaddafi. Gaddafi protested, said, no, you don't call me president. I am a leader, Gaddafi.
Yeah.
So President Kufuor had to move on to the next president to talk. These things happen. Okay, these comedies and errors do happen. It happened in this case. What I ask is this, are the Kenyans complaining? Was Uhuru Kenyatta called Uhuru Kenyatta? Because the Kenyans don't like to be called Kenya. They want to be called Kenya. Is that correct? Did they play the right national anthem for him?
Sure.
Did they host the right flag for him?
Yes.
I'm sure he and President Mahama, after the event, when they went for tea, they laugh over it. Okay? That's we're calling President of Ghana. So you see, for me, these things, I think the Kenyans have moved on. Okay? I don't think they wrote a letter of protest that why are we calling it. So I think that side of it, let's look at it as something we all laugh on and then leave it. There are bigger issues. Now coming back home, this guy was fired because of this comedy of errors. And I bet you we are going to have other celebrations and these things will pop out. Now as to...
Have we then become so sensitive?
No, I don't think
have we become so sensitive we're not leaving room for that? To accommodate to his human?
No, I think because of social media now, everything's getting to big volumes. Okay? There are a lot of journalists out there. Right? Citizen journalism. Everybody want to chip in, okay, make a joke of it. Of course, what happened shouldn't have happened. What I'm saying is that celebrations that we have through different government, there are all a number of comedians. Will you believe in this country, at one of those big meetings, in a presidential villa, one of the presidents didn't get a mattress on his bed. The AD-CAM had to go to his son and bring a mattress. So these things do happen. But of course, we don't want them to happen. This is not the first time. So I think that we need to put this within context. Yes, I think the investigation that the MPP is calling for is a good thing, but I'll be very surprised if it's not already going on.
All right.
Okay? And so I think we need to move on. We need to move on, and rather than just dwell on this issue for too long.
All right, Mark, just rebuttal 30 seconds.
Yes, and let me just say that I'm very surprised that a senior professor here is saying that we should have a government that can lie to us. Now, the lies told, wait, I'm coming. The lies told by the man, the ISD workers, did you see how they were angry? Do you remember the demonstrations they had? Thank you. Are you telling me that it's trivial? That the workers are angry that a lie has been told on them? So these are the issues. And we are not talking about you remember I mentioned that the Uhuru Kenyatta and the this thing, but it's the lies. Two,
Mr. Professor.
Yes, sir.
He told a lie that it was ISD who did it. And ISD
But he
workers.
clarified and he clarified and said
it was-
that as a member of the committee that even
No,
organized.
not even.
No. Before we
let me
let me land. You can land.
Okay, all right. Mike,
please,
let Mike and you
please.
come in.
The man lied
Okay.
because otherwise the ISD workers will not be angry. They are not stupid. They were angry because what he had gone to say about them was not true. They were not responsible for the brochure. Later, he has agreed that it was done at the presidency. Has he not said that?
Okay.
1. 2. The coat of arms of this country was lifted illegally. Mr. Professor, you don't see anything wrong with that? Anyway, I just rest my case.
All
If everything is
Thank
rather
you.
the trivial issue,
Thank you. Yes.
if this is like mattress,
Mr. Patton.
mattress.
Mr.
Fine.
Patton.
No, I
Is
think,
that
I think I need to come
Okay,
in.
Yes, we need to answer those things.
think-
Lies.
I think-
All right.
yes.
Answer. Well,
I need to come
Yes,
in
thank
here.
you.
I think don't put words in my mouth.
okay.
I was very clear on what I said. People ask for investigation. I say I will be very surprised
If they had
if
already not
it
started.
started. Somebody certainly will ask questions. Why did you put this coat on the wrong way? Why did you call the Kenya president?
Have they told us they are doing it?
Let's
we should ask.
no. Yes, but so I never said that somebody should be let go because he told a lie. I said what they are asking for, I'll be very surprised, which means I agree with you, but I will be very surprised that they are waiting to be told.
But
to
the
check it.
resultant factor is
Yes.
determination. He's been moved. It's one
Yeah.
way. But
Prevention is better than cure.
Yeah, but I'm saying
and so
that-
you don't look
you
at
see-
just the cure.
you see-
you look at how to prevent it in future.
All right.
So there must be an inquiry.
All right.
You see,
That's it.
ISD has a face. Just as the president is the fountain of honor of Ghana, the ISD has a face, and that face is the acting director. at
No,
that time.
no, it's not true.
Please, it is the fact that Mr. Kwatin served on that committee was because he was representing his organization.
Okay.
So when he says that the organization takes responsibility, you know, it is called corporate responsibility. The workers cannot come and say that we didn't do it, because he says that even when I assigned a certain deputy director to do it, when he finished, he sent it to me. After which I sent it to whoever should also have it. So it is not true when workers say ISD has nothing to do with it. They have everything to do with it. Bottom line is that he takes both corporate and personal responsibility for it, and that is why when the axe was falling, it fell on his head.
Okay.
But you see, let's put it in perspective. Don't forget that Mr. Kwatin has already been having problems with the ISD workers because of some financial malpractices that were going on that he attempted to stop. So it has a gestation. Nobody should assume that this was something that fell out of nowhere.
Okay.
So they had already wanted him out. And then, unfortunately, this played in.
Okay.
So I'm saying that
I have four
I don't
topics to
believe
discuss.
that
This is
ISD
the
can say
second.
we
This is
did
the
not
second,
have
so we'll
anything
have
to
to
do
move
with
on.
it.
All right.
They have everything to do with it.
Okay, all right. We'll have to move on. And the police, yesterday, the Inspector General of Police engaged the youth within the political parties ahead of the 2016 elections, because they want to involve the youth, engage dialogue with them, because they don't want the vigilante group. We support that, and when something happens, they don't go through systems, but rather use their own law, their law onto themselves, or law onto the various political parties. The approach by the police, good, nice.
Well, we are going into the election. The police
Yes.
are an integral part of the handling of the election in terms of security, and so we are also aware that all parties have some kind of internal security, which we are calling vigilante group in this case. I mean, history has it that there have been a lot of mishaps for which parties think they must protect themselves.
Sure.
And of course, the protection of the ballot box is every citizen's responsibility. So if some people have constituted themselves into vigilantes, fine. The only thing is that they must operate within the laws of Ghana. And to leave them in no doubt what is expected of them, I think it's a good thing that the police engages them. It's a good thing that the rules of engagement are well drawn out, so that everybody knows the limit within which they operate. So that if you operate out of that limit and the police come for you, then it's a legitimate arrest, or it's a legitimate interference in your conduct. So it's good. I think that the more the interaction, the better.
But it's, yes, I mean, I think it's a really interesting approach that the police is adopting, going to them first before it happens, because indeed, when it gets heated, political parties, I mean, their election, they sort of lose it, they lose the bid and begin to distrust the very state institution set up to protect everybody.
It is because of the lack of the lack of understanding between the parties. You see, when you know that political party activism is an emotional thing, and when people get emotional, they lose the fine lines of thought that they must have in reacting to situations. But that is why it is useful.
Okay.
That is why the police engages people who are going on demonstration to determine the routes and the way they must conduct themselves. I think that is in the same vein. And that people must be told that, look, yes, you have a right as a citizen, you have a right as a member of a political party, you have a right to stand somewhere and observe what is going on. You have a right to, as it were, ensure that there is protection around the place. But ultimately, the responsibility for protecting the electoral officers and the lies with the police. This is what you can do. This is what you are allowed to do. In any case, if you have doubt, come to us. What should be happening is that whereas they are talking to the vigilante groups, I hope and I pray that the IGP himself talks to the police.
Okay.
You see, in moments of anguish, when people are not sure what is happening, when people are, you know, how rumor, when somebody, sometimes, you know, election, you are sitting in your house, they say, hey, you get a call. Say they are taking some ballot boxes somewhere. The person might not have, I don't know how they arrive at those things. But you see, under those circumstances, you should have trained police officers who can calm down nerves. They don't aggravate the situation by moving in with force. Because sometimes you have 4 police people,
okay,
and if you have the citizens about 200, you may not even be able to overpower. It turns into things like that. So the IGP must also ensure that anybody, any security service person who will be at the polling station should be spoken to, should be trained. At least they should have some 1 or 2 weeks training to tell them how to engage with the citizenry.
All right, thank you very much. Michael Quay, just to quote the IGP, it says, you know, disagreements and misunderstandings amongst you, I mean, political parties, should not be a recipe for violence. I'll urge you to accommodate each other's views since it forms part of the core, you know, of democracy. But, you know, let's see, the youth organizer of the New Patriots, Samia Oku, however, in a sideline interview, said the party was ready to cooperate with the police, but we will not append our signature to every document for appending's sake. We'll make sure that every T is dotted and every I, of course, is crossed, so that there's a level playing field for all the parties. Level playing field. What is level? What does level playing field mean to?
Okay. Let me just answer it in its entirety, and then I'll come to that specific
Sure.
issue. This is a matter where the youth have been called, and it's a very good move. I want IGP Kudolo to remember his predecessor, Paul Teriako.
And Mohammed Al Hassan.
Because Al Hassan didn't handle the elections.
Okay,
so,
I guess.
yes. Paul Teriako, the way he engaged the political parties, I must tell you, it got to a point where now we had more faith in the police even than the EC. Tell you this for free. If you like, look at election day activities. As Samia Oku said, even-handed. MPP person, you play the fool, they catch you, they put you in. NDC, whether you are DC, whatever, you play the fool, they catch you, they put you in. George and I, we're not happy. You see where it starts? You see, when you have a referee in a match, they are the ones who can cause a stampede. Where, for example, something is not a penalty and you give 3 penalties in a row. Do you know that even in England, white man land, wherever, the fans will start to fight?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes!
Absolutely.
And these are some of the things you have been telling the EC, for example, which will be a separate topic at the right time. But going on to the police, Mr. Kudalo must understand that it is a service issue.
Okay.
Just like my brother said, you do your part, we do our part. No threat that the police will do decisive what? You're going to kill us? Don't come and tell us any decisive. Tell us that the police will be fair.
He said that.
And the police, I'm just coming. Okay. I'm saying that's the stress.
Okay.
On that, and believe you me, you see how the citizens will react. Look, Paul Teriako, do you know that we were engaged so much that they engaged us on national level? Every regional police commander engaged part. I was a rep for MPP,
okay,
for peace, and every time we go for the meeting twice every month.
The whole year for election, twice every month. And whatever I go and get there, I come and report to Jake, and then Jake will send it down. You saw the 2012 election, how the day was. Kule. So, Mr. Kudalo, if you want Kule, you yourself to handle everything in a certain way.
Okay, but that's a move.
I'm just telling him. I'm allowed to tell him.
Yeah, I know. But I'm saying that is this reassuring? I mean, I want you
I am telling Mr. Kudalo, just like he's also telling us that he himself, he must check himself on the day.
But I'm asking a specific question. Is this reassuring? That's in the move. You're saying it's a good
everything
move.
Can be city. Somebody can be trying to, do you kwani. I'm not interested in that.
Is that what
all I'm saying is that
Mr.
Kudalo, I didn't say it was.
Okay.
I said it could be.
Okay.
But I can never say it was. I'm saying, Mr. Kudalo, the only way we can have peaceful election from the police is the police must be fair and even-handed.
All right.
We don't want to see special force in certain areas and certain areas no special force. Then certain areas we have no verification of vote, but certain areas verification of vote, as in the case of his no. Let it be even-handed. You see that George is happy, I am happy. Ghanaians will all be happy.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Prof.
Good. I think you can say a lot about the police or against the police.
Sure,
but there's one thing our police do here. I think they do well at elections.
Okay.
I can't recall any election that we had where the police were not able to manage it. Okay. There was some time where things were really hot, and some of us will refuse to go to work because we think that things are going to be hot in the country. Sure. But the police manage it. Sure. So I think I'm very sure the current IGP was part of the
2012 election,
yes,
strategic team.
Yes,
but
he was part of the team.
At the meetings, or he wasn't there?
He might be a senior guy at that time.
In any of the meetings?
No, he wasn't. But it's the same. It's the same thing.
Okay. Right.
So I am very confident that you may, as I say, you can say a lot of things about our police, but elections is something that they do well at. So we just hope that this will not be different. And I'm very confident that the move that is made, which is expected, he must start talking to the constituencies, talking to the people who are likely to assist him to keep the peace. So I think it's a good thing. And let's not go before the event. Let's just hope that it goes that way, and that we have a peace. And I'm very confident that that is going to happen. But
how do we break this whole vigilante book? I mean, it was so obvious during the by-election in Talensi, where, groups came out. We have Hazoka Boys, Boga Bulldogs, and it became a whole thing. I mean, it was scary, to be honest. You see pictures on social media, what's happening.
You got to look at where things are now. It's a bit of unemployment around. Okay, the political tension has been hyped a little bit.
Okay.
Is that correct? The youth have some energy. Okay, there's a social media also there. So it's a little bit different terrain. So you should expect those agitations to happen. But I think the police can handle it.
My last topic.
Yes. Let me point out something. You see, all these things we are calling vigilante boys, they are not structured groups per se.
I'm aware.
I mean,
I am told sometimes. A very influential person in an area.
They want to
the boys associate with him. I get it, George. I get it.
On your WhatsApp.
I get it. But I want you to do a
part of 1 month. We have had about 10 new groups. Okay. Every group of people.
Unfortunately, we don't have time. We have just 2 minutes. NDC sponsored Green Streets. Sami Nkuma is saying that is this something initially, as she had mentioned that indeed they paid some people 200 cities, 300, 500, and that's why he won. 1,288 votes he got, about 64% he had. Is this a question of somebody who is lost and is struggling to overcome, or this is something we should look at?
It's quite.
I'm asking, Prof.
Yes, it's quite sad actually to be frank with you. If what he's saying is true, it's sad. If it's what he's saying is not true, it's also sad.
But what will the NDC's interest in getting?
Well, that is what probably my colleagues here may be able to tell us what goes on. Okay, because we as ordinary people, that is CPP, and that is NDC. Why should NDC pay people? There may be something we don't know. Probably that is the way it's done. But I'm not very much concerned about that. I'm more concerned about the reaction of the chairman of the CPP. Did you read his comment? on Samia.
Professor
Daily,
Professor
Daily, that's a national
very good, yes.
Professor Daily,
He said a lot of strong words.
Yes.
You come again, we will deal with you.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
come on.
That was even after the...
Yes, I mean, we'll deal
remember.
with you. We will discipline you. I really think you should have been a little bit more, I mean, tamed.
Okay.
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 So if this is happening, I'm not sure. My police will more throw light
What's
on
your
that.
interest in CPP?
No, but I mean, I think that first and foremost, Samia, I would say, and this will be strong words, should be ashamed of herself.
Oh.
One, I will also throw the challenge that she should prove it. You see, this guy, Ivor Greenstreet, was a general secretary of the party. Yeah. Right? You know it's more difficult to campaign for the position of general secretary than for
tell me.
Yeah, Gabon will tell you.
Than the flag bearer.
Than the flag bearer. I'm telling you, general secretary.
Not in MPP.
You see, the point is that if the man has been on his own merit, been able to get to the position of general secretary, he deals with the rank and file of the party on daily basis. What else would he need to propel him to the flag bearer?
How does that even play to your advantage?
Well, it doesn't, but I'm just saying that. No, you see,
Mike, you have the final one.
I don't understand why
Is this a case of she's just not accepting the
Let me
fact that
start
she
it. Let me
lost
start
and
it
lost
on this time because
terribly?
there's no time.
Yeah, 30
One,
seconds.
I don't believe Ivor Greenstreet is the kind of man who can be bought.
Okay.
I know Ivor quite well.
Okay.
And you remember when he said that the NDC, they made the Blonia dry.
Yes,
the Blonia is dry.
Yeah,
He told them.
I remember that.
And as for George Lowe, and they'll tell you infrastructure. Greenstreet told them that, man, you have made the country dry. Then, to move on, look, as for NDC, they've always been interested in CPP. Look, you remember even when they went to take Accra
So you have
to come and become their vice president? You don't remember?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I remember. Oh,
Yes.
I remember that. I remember that.
Let me
But
finish.
Actually, you have 10
They-
seconds.
No,
We have
they've
to go.
always
10
been
seconds,
interested
sir.
in CPP. So, me, I'm not
In fact,
surprised.
we are also interested in the NPP.
Oh, wow, no. We are, but you see,
Right.
I've always also told CPP that whenever they have alliances, rather with MPP, who are their cousins, they are able to grow because you see, naturally.
This is an indirect
it's,
call
yes,
to the
thank you.
SPP.
Because naturally, where Kwame Nkrumah's areas have been taken over by NDC. Fact.
So it's
So
better to
thank you.
associate
So
with it.
as for us, we are able to work with
Clarion
them
call
better than.
by Deputy Communications Director of the New Patriotic Party, lawyer Michael Quay. Thank you very much for joining us in the studio this morning. Also, Professor Jidonu is the president of AIT and Member of Parliament for North Dye, George Lowe. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this morning.